The Packers have not made free agent moves thus far, and it worries me. The Green Bay Packers haven't made any notable free agent moves thus far, and this is why it matters. The only thing that they did is re-sign Aaron Jones, which was huge. I'm not going to lie. It was big bringing him back. They also put a tender on Robert Tonyan, a second-round tender. He's not going anywhere. That was a big deal too. But their lack thereof of being aggressive in free agency tells me a lot about the mindset of their organization. They're fine with being good enough, and they don't really care about being great or being the favorites. And in life, you have to adapt. All the best companies in the world that you see have adapted. Netflix, they used to sell CDs. They adapted to streaming because that was the way the world was going. Since Netflix adapted and had a lot of success, now you see every single other company adapting. Disney is adapting. They released Disney Plus. NBC is adapting. They released Peacock. CBS, their parent company, Warner, they're adapting. They released Paramount Plus. Every single company is adapting right now. And you see a lot of NFL teams adapting as well. The Giants, coming into this free agency, didn't have much money. But because of their workaround the cap, they were able to re-sign Leonard Williams. They were able to sign Kenny Galladay to a big-time deal. They were able to sign Adoree Jackson. They adapted. The Rams have been in cap hell for the last couple of years. They even traded Jared Goff and had a gigantic dead cap hit. But restructures have made them be now over the cap. They adapted. The New Orleans Saints, they were $100 million over the cap. And they got to zero because they adapted. They know how to work around the cap. And the Packers' lack of free agent moves because they don't have cap space is a big, giant excuse because other teams have shown the ability to adapt and to make these big-time moves when we all think they don't have the cap space to do it. In an era where salary cap space is such a facade, you can manipulate it in so many different ways to go out and get big-time players, and the Packers just haven't capitalized. Knowing they have one of the all-time great quarterbacks on the roster, it's ridiculous to me. While they did re-sign Aaron Jones, and I guess that's great, they lost Corey Linsley, their all-pro center. So, you can give or take on that. Would you rather have a running back or would you rather have your all-pro center? I'd rather have Corey Linsley, but I get Aaron Jones' impact, which is why I'm not mad at it. In 2019, the Packers did make a splash of signings. They signed Adrian Amos. They signed Za'Darius and Preston Smith. But before then, their big-time signings were Charles Woodson in 2006 and Julius Peppers in 2014. This is not an organization known for making big-time moves. They're not. 2019 was an anomaly. And history is repeating itself because they're not making a big-time move now. The Packers aren't aggressive enough in trying to bring in talent. They act as if they don't have Aaron Rodgers on the roster, and that drives me crazy. In last year's draft, they drafted Jordan Love with the 26th overall pick. They traded up to get Jordan Love. He probably would have been there where they were picking, but they traded up to get Jordan Love. And this leaves everybody wondering why. Why draft the quarterback when you have an all-time great one already and you know that Aaron Rodgers needs a receiver? Nobody gets it. And now I feel extremely bad for Jordan Love. Because if Jordan Love is not a Pro Bowl player or an all-time great, this was a whiff of a pick. Imagine that. Imagine being the 26th overall pick in the NFL draft and being a whiff if you're not a Pro Bowl or an all-pro player. I would argue that Jordan Love has more pressure on him than Tua, than Burrow, and then even Justin Herbert. Jordan Love has the most pressure in this draft. And want to know why? because Jordan Love did not play his first season. He's going to sit. So that means when he is ready to play, he's expected to do something. The time for him to grow, the time for fans to be patient with him is going to be like this. Fans aren't going to be patient with Jordan Love at all because he had time to sit. He has to literally, in his first start, look like Patrick Mahomes or better. And I think it's very unfair to him. And then they drafted A.J. Dillon in the second round. I thought that was a good pick. They drafted Josiah DeGuara in the third round. I think that was a good pick, even though he hasn't shown much to this point. But the Packers' biggest need going into the 2020 NFL draft was wide receiver. And they didn't draft a wide receiver. In historically wide receiver loaded draft class. We've seen other teams make moves to try and surround the franchise quarterback. Kansas City Chiefs signed Joe Thuney to an $80 million deal. Where did they get the cap space from? Nobody knows. But the Packers, not only can they sign big-time free agents, but they can't even draft what Aaron Rodgers needs the most, a wide receiver. They can't even draft it. You always find a way to get what you really want. If you really want something, you're going to go after it. Like I mentioned before, the examples with the Giants. They really wanted Kenny Golladay and Adoree Jackson. They got him. The Chiefs really wanted Joe Thuney. They got him. The Saints really wanted to build a Super Bowl roster around Drew Brees. So they handicapped themselves for the future multiple times to build a great roster around Drew Brees. The Packers' lack of free agent moves tells me they don't really want to maximize Aaron Rodgers' time with the Green Bay Packers. They are fine with just being good enough. And for other teams, that's fine. But when you have Aaron Rodgers on your team, it's not. I'm actually pretty ashamed that the Packers are not making any moves. I thought they were going to get J.J. Watt. Of course, I was wrong. I thought they were going to make way more moves than what they made. I just hope that the Packers are right about this. I hope that Jordan Love turns out to be a great quarterback because I do like Jordan Love a lot. I do hope that in the long run, it does pay off because right now it's not looking very good. And the Packers deserve all the criticism that they are getting, rightfully so. Because their fans are looking at every other team make big-time moves with no cap. And the Packers are sitting there not making any.